If I told you an old woman defeated the strongest man in the village and reached the heavens with nothing but 1 stone a day, would you believe it? Well then, let's begin today's story. Once upon a time, in a quiet and peaceful Chinese village, surrounded by green hills and flowing rivers, there stood a magnificent mountain called Heaven Peak. For generations, the villagers dreamed of building a temple at its very top, believing that if their prayers rose from the peak itself, they would reach the heavens faster, bringing blessings to every family below. But the climb was steep, treacherous, and dangerous, filled with sharp rocks, slippery slopes, and swirling winds, and no one had ever reached the top safely. One day, the village elders gathered everyone and announced a challenge that set the hearts of the villagers racing. Whoever can build a staircase to the top, they declared, will earn honor for himself and glory for our village. Excitement spread instantly through the crowd. First, a strong young man named Wei stepped forward, his arms powerful and his voice full of confidence. "I will reach the top faster than anyone," he boasted loudly, making the mountains echo with his words. The villagers clapped in admiration, convinced that Wei would succeed. But before the applause died down, another figure slowly stepped forward, an old widow named Lin. Her back was bent, her hands shook with age, and her steps were slow. The villagers laughed and whispered among themselves, "Grandmother Lin, you can barely draw water from the well. How do you expect to climb the mountain, let alone build a staircase?" But Lin smiled gently and replied, "I will carry 1 stone a day," and walked away calmly, leaving everyone in disbelief. The next morning, the work began. Wei lifted enormous stones onto his shoulders and charged up the mountain with the strength of a bull. Every day he placed multiple heavy stones and shouted in pride as villagers cheered him on. His staircase rose quickly, impressive and bold. Meanwhile, Lin carried just a single small stone, wrapped carefully in her cloth, and slowly climbed the path. Her feet dragged, her breath trembled, yet every day she placed exactly 1 stone along the way. At first, the difference was glaring. Wei's staircase soared high while Lin's small stones seemed almost invisible under the dust of the path. Weeks passed. Then the tide began to turn. Wei, once unstoppable, grew tired. Some mornings he overslept. Other days he said, "I will do twice as much tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. Soon his pile of stones lay abandoned at the foot of the mountain, untouched and silent. Meanwhile, Lin never stopped. Under the blazing summer sun, amidst the golden autumn leaves, through the freezing winter snow, and during the blooming spring rains, she climbed steadily and faithfully. Her knees shook, her back ached, but every day she whispered the same simple mantra, "Just 1 more stone, only 1 today." Days became months, months became years, and still she persisted. Then one morning, as the first golden rays of the sun touched the mountaintop, a deep bell rang across the valley. The villagers rushed outside in astonishment. Looking up, their mouths fell open. From the base of the mountain to its shining peak stretched a complete staircase, solid, smooth, perfectly aligned, leading directly to the long-awaited temple. From the top, the sound of prayers floated down like music carried on the wind. And it was Lin's work, the very woman they had doubted, laughed at, and underestimated, who had built the impossible, 1 stone at a time. Villagers climbed the steps with tears in their eyes, bowing deeply before her. "Grandmother Lin," they said, "you were not the strongest, you were not the fastest, but your consistent steps have built a highway to heaven." Among the crowd, Wei stood silently, shame softening his pride. At that moment, he realized a truth sharper than any lesson he had learned before. Talent without consistency is like thunder without rain, loud but unable to feed the earth. From that day forward, the staircase was named the Path of Patience, and travelers from distant lands came to walk it, inspired by the story of the old woman who reached the heavens carrying just 1 stone a day. And so, my friends, remember this: those who act in short bursts of greatness rarely finish the journey. It is those who refuse to give up, who repeat even the smallest effort daily, who truly transform their lives. Carry your stone today, carry another tomorrow, and one day, you too will stand at the peak of your own mountain, following the path your perseverance has carved. Because in the end, consistency always defeats talent.